So about a month ago, I posted a video showcasing a horror game concept on which at the first half of the game, you just try to survive a monster that chases you, as it typically goes. But on the second half, you become stronger and chase the monster back. Now obviously, since that was such a good game idea, people had absolutely nothing to criticize about it. Pacman? Literally Pacman. Isn't that like Pacman or something? And all the rest of these. Look, I have no idea what you're talking about, okay? In Pacman, you must pick up these points that are spread across the map, all while avoiding these ghosts that are trying to kill you. However, there are also these power-ups around the map that once you pick up, you can chase the ghosts and kill them instead. Now in my game on the other hand, you must pick up these keycards that are spread across the map, all while avoiding this monster that is trying to kill you. However, at the end of the game, you get a power-up and chase the monster back and kill it instead. Maybe they are a little bit similar. You know, it makes me sad how products of my exceptional, outstanding and masterful creativity is being compared to another game like this. And for that, I think it's time to announce that I'm quitting game development for good. That's what I would have said if I was a moron, but in the middle of all the chaos, I saw the opportunity. All of these people, they somehow saw the resemblance to Pacman when it's barely there. So what if I actually copied Pacman this time? Everyone's gonna be able to recognize this game instantly. Oh man, I'm gonna be rich! And so, upon these lands, I declared my intentions. Quick disclaimer though, I did say that I'm going to copy Pacman, but the game I'm going to make is actually just inspired by Pacman, because if I did actually copy it, bad things are going to happen. So don't be surprised if the game I make doesn't even look similar to Pacman. So the first thing I started making was a map layout. This is how Pacman's map looks like. I'm not going to copy it, but I will make something similar. I started by drawing the monster spawn point in the middle, then I made up everything else randomly. After that I modeled these basic walls in Blender, and with the preparations done, I opened Godot, and then I made a new project and called it Pacman. You're packing, man. I started by building a box. This is gonna be the monster spawn point. Then I added a bunch of beans. These are gonna be the monsters. And yes, this game is gonna have monsters, not ghosts, for obvious reasons. And now if you run the game... Nice. I added a camera in. And now if we run the game... After a sick coding session, I can finally move around. And with that being possible, it was finally time to build a map. And there we go. Now, I don't want you to keep looking at this white mess for the entirety of this video, so I decided to add some materials in. But I basically have no knowledge on how to make materials, so I watched some tutorials on YouTube.
And then we just need to connect that over instead. And that looks a little bit too intense, so we will just lower this a little bit, maybe to 2.
Then I opened up GIMP and started drawing a pattern I can use. Then I took that same pattern and put it in Material Maker. And after throwing completely random things in there that I don't fully understand, this is what I ended up with. It's not the most beautiful thing, but at least your eyes won't seek early retirement. Anyways, now that the visuals are passable, I can work on the game mechanics. To start out, I made the monsters really big. Then I coded them to be able to move around. In Pacman, you can pick up these power-ups, which will make you able to eat the ghosts. My version of that is this flashlight I made from the previous video. While its main purpose is to light up the place after I put you in complete darkness for the totally not overused horror experience, I also gave it the ability to shine brighter. And what this does is it will kill the monsters. Makes a lot of sense, right? Anyways, this is pink. My idea for pink is that it will always follow you around, no matter where you are. And as you can see, that already works. This is green. Green is the typical monster. When it doesn't see you, it wanders around randomly. When it does see you, it starts hunting. Very basic stuff right there. This is red. Red is also gonna be wandering around randomly. I also gave it this ramming ability. At this point in the game, I still haven't figured out when exactly it should trigger the ability, but for now it just does that after it finishes wandering. This is orange, and just like green, it will wander around and hunt when it sees you. However, orange is slower than green. That's because it has the ability to alerts Green. So if Orange sees you, Green will know where you are as well, and they'll both try to jump you. Back to the flashlight, I properly implemented the shine mechanic. When a monster dies, it'll transform into this flying ball thing. Then it'll make its way to the respawn point. This shine mechanic can kill any monster, except for Red. He's just built like that. Now, you might be wondering, how do you win in this game? In Pac-Man, you must collect all these points around the map in order to win. I don't wanna copy Pac-Man too much. So for my game, I decided to put generators around the map that you need to power on. I know, very creative, very unique. But why generators, you might ask? Well, you see, I'm gonna put an exit door somewhere in the map that you need to go through to win. Except it's obviously going to be locked, which is why I'm gonna put a sick sci-fi machine somewhere in the map. And after you turn it on, it will generate you a key to unlock the exit door. And by key, I mean a rocket launcher, which you can use to respectfully pry the exit door open. However, the machine needs a lot of energy to power on, which is why you need the generators I talked about earlier. So, I went ahead and started modeling a generator, which turned out like this. This might be the best model I made in my life, I'm not gonna lie. And so, after typing a bunch of code that I'd like to never revisit, we now have a generator. After interacting with it, you'll have to play this terrible minigame that I made, and if you do it correctly, the generator turns on.
I know, very creative, very unique.
But I don't think generators provide enough gameplay, so I modeled this drawer that I'm going to scatter around the map, and when you open it in the game, you can find some coins inside, and those coins are needed in order to turn on the rocket machine. Speaking of the machine, I also went ahead and started modeling it, except I stopped in the middle of doing that, because I decided it's better to model the rocket launcher first. This is some quality storytelling right here. It went from this to this to this, and then finally, this is the end result. This is how it looks in game, by the way. After some scripting, both the rockets and the rocket machine are basically functional, so I went ahead and modeled the exit door. Now, in the game, you can't open the door with a handle or a key, but if you shoot it with a rocket, it explodes, but that looks pretty terrible. So I added some sick particle effects to the rocket, very cool looking. Now that the game is basically working, it's time to make it look good. My first step towards that was finishing the rocket machine. After you power on all the generators, you can turn the machine on, and it will tell you this top tier comedy message. Get it? Because the game is called Your Pacman? No? Okay. You need to feed it the coins you collected from the drawers, and then it generates a rocket launcher. And if you read the screen, the name of the game kinda makes sense now. Moving on, as you can see, the monsters are still just wandering beams. It's time for that to change. First, I decided to model Red. My vision for Red is a big muscular guy with a set of wheels that will beat you up if you get too close. So I started by making the body, gave it some nice details here and there, and this is how it turned out. Bruh. And he's done. Someone's gonna think I'm making a SpongeBob horror game. I also gave him this sick mask. He does look kinda threatening with it. And in the game, this is how he looks like for now. Back in Blender, I gave him a skeleton, then some animations. Now he actually looks alive, and if you get too close, as promised, he will beat you up. And occasionally, he will try to ram you. This does look pretty sad right now, but I promise it'll be good later on. After this, I decided to model Pink. This time I just made a horror version of the typical Pacman ghost. There's nothing to show here, it's just a cut cylinder. And in the game, you can see how it turned out there. I mean, I can show you after Green stops bagging me. I made sure it's visible even in the complete dark. Like, look how terrifying it looks behind that corner. With Pink being done, I moved to make an orange. For this one, I just decided on a head with 2 legs. I usually find making the textures way more difficult than making the model itself, but this one was fairly easy. This is what I ended up with at first, but the head was too small to be scary, so I made it bigger, and after testing it in game, I'm not gonna say a word. But then I had the brilliant idea of putting the head under the legs, and that looks so much better. What? So, remember Pink? When you look at this, you think, oh, this is the Pink Ghost from Pacman. And since this is instantly recognizable as that, it could absolutely get hunted down for copyright. So I had to redesign Pink. It's still a cylinder, and apart from the size, it's not very far off from what we had. So I don't think this is a better placement. Nah, I'm just joking. Say hi to Pink V2. So the idea is that when you see this in the dark, you're gonna think, Hey, that's probably safe. But then you get close and you're welcomed by this. Terrifying, right? After this I started working on green. I just tried to make it look like a big threatening creature. I didn't put much thought beyond that. While I was animating it, I recognized that this looks really similar. After drawing a texture, this is what it ended up looking like. I'm not even gonna lie to you, I referenced a picture of a frog in order to make this. You can probably find that exact picture if you just look up frog on Google. This is how it ended up looking in game. After this I went ahead and made another material. This one is for the floor. Then I modeled this elevator that you can find beyond the exit door to end the game. Look, I know it makes no sense how it's connected to the soil. I know how it makes no sense how it has one button, but I doubt anyone's gonna notice. I've told you how the game ends, but I didn't tell you how it starts. It makes no sense to just spawn in the middle of this maze with no introduction, so I started making a safe room for you to spawn in. I did forget to record footage of me making this though, so beautiful, right? So what I figured out is, Godot has this thing called the voxel GI, which makes the lights look so much nicer. This is without voxel GI, and this is with voxel GI. Something else I figured out that's completely unrelated is that if I move diagonally, it'd be much faster than if I move straight. This bug is easily fixable, but it's kinda cool, so I'll keep it. Moving on, I added this simple respawn screen, then this terrible windscreen. Then I added some dialogue that absolutely no one asked for. Then I finally built a proper room for the rocket machine, and I made this monster respawn machine thing. It will be cool if it actually worked though. Also, red can now ram properly, and you'll be seeing a lot of it in future footage. Back to the respawn point, it actually works now. It actually works now. Man, finally. After this I remade the elevator room. Now it looks luxurious. Then I made this secret room that I will not tell you how to get to. It's very simple though, and inside it you can find cheat codes. Yes, this game has cheat codes now. Now, I heard a lot of people find it very weird to not be able to see your character in first-person games. So I used this character that I made a long time ago for a YouTube short. More specifically, I used its legs. You don't really get a torso. Then I went back to Blender to model a very simple hand. And now, you actually have hands. Ignore how the flashlight looks like it's being presented to you by another person on your right. And now, with the game being basically done, it was time to add sound. I really hate this part. I'm not gonna show you the whole process of doing this, but this is basically how it goes. You hear this? It's sound. We finally have sound. I will say that the rocket launcher is a bit over the top. Yeah, I should tone this down later. But for now, I'd like to interrupt this video to tell you about our sponsor, Shadow of the Colossus. Nah, I'm just joking, this isn't sponsored. But we are gonna talk about Shadow of the Colossus. More specifically, the death screen. This right here is the PS2 version of the game. Now just keep watching. This is absolutely terrifying. I really wanted to copy it. But here's the thing, when I was copying it, I did it completely off of memory. So it turns out that my version isn't even close. But it doesn't matter, it looks good enough. And the game is done now. See you in another video then. Goodbye. I really hope that joke didn't ruin my viewer attention. So here's the thing, when I was testing this game, since I got so used to the mechanics and the map layout, every second I thought to myself, man, this is too easy, let me buff these monsters. And so I kept buffing them over and over again. And even then I was thinking that this game is gonna get finished in barely 10 minutes. But after I finished making the game, I sent it to one of my friends. And let's just say, it was not as easy as I thought. It took bro 2 hours to finish this. And the only reason he was able to do so is because I leaked the cheat codes. And at the end of it all, even after he got folded so hard, he was like, yo, Pink is trash, you should buff Pink. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? That's a great idea. And so instead of following you very slowly every time, Pink now freezes when you look at it, but approaches you really fast when you're not. And so I sent the new version of the game to another friend of mine, and his reaction was, Actually, let me just read you this. This isn't even horror anymore. It's just annoying because every small mistake feels like, I can't say this part. So one of the complaints I had is that the flashlight is absolutely terrible. What I saw them do is that they would use up the shine and then just camp the safe zones until it recharges. In order to help fix this, I modeled the battery, then I made it so that for each drawer you open, there's a chance to find a battery inside it, and if you take it, your shine completely charges up. Apart from this, I severely nerfed the monsters and made other changes that aren't important enough to talk about. If you want to play this game, I'll leave a link to it in the description. It's completely free. I mean, you can tell it's free by looking at it. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.